Put on a suit. Drink water. Don't drink and drive.
Game over!
Take it light. Okay.
Now you're more fluent.
He's got three!
Up, Bears.
So this is really good right here. Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. Welcome back to the All American Hoops podcast. This is episode 44. And forgive me for this is going to be the second episode in a row where I do not have a number for what I usually do. I had the emergency podcast on Friday night where it was episode 43, and I just completely forgot to do it all together, and I haven't done my research since. It's been a busy couple of days. I don't have a number 43. No one's in the chat now. I'm going to explain why. I don't think many people are going to be joining later. But yeah, episode 44, I don't have a 44 either. So the two people that are currently watching live, if you can tell me if you know any famous 43s or 44s in any sports ever, let me know, because I didn't look up any beforehand and I do not know any off the top of my head. So apologies for that for those of you watching either live or later. But anyway, the reason that I said I'm a little skeptical for the audience tonight is because right now, as we speak, the Mets and the Brewers are about to start, and the guys who usually watch this podcast loyally are going to be watching that game. Understand, like, very rightfully so, because obviously the Mets are in a winner or lose, like a winner die situation now. So, yeah, like, yeah, as happy as I am to be here, I'm always loving. I always love to do the pod. You guys know that, but part of me does definitely miss the idea of doing my watching the game, because downstairs we got my dad and Matt, who's probably come here, not probably you, has been on the show the most, especially the last few months. Oh, we got 7 people on right now. Okay, so for those of you watching, I have a question for you. Can you please tell me a number 43 or 44? You can look it up now. You can look it up later. Drop it in the comments. Let me know, because we had episode 42 where I shouted out Al Horford, Mariano Rivera, and Jackie Robinson, but I could not think of a 43 or 44 and didn't even do my research ahead of time. So shame on me there. One more thing before I talk about the show today. Randy said behind me, as for those of you who watch the show usually, you know that before me was Mets signs, but however, I'm going to take a duck now. Behind me we have a Jason Tatum jersey right here. Not speaking into the mic, but hopefully loud enough. We also have a Kawhi Leonard jersey, Al Horford jersey, Steph Curry, and Paul Pierce. So all these are jerseys that don't fit me anymore, so I felt the need to just hang them up. Might do a collection, try to get every single team. We'll see what happens with that. Obviously don't have a ton of places to hang up. This is my room, so we'll see. Maybe I get an office one day, I can get a better collection. But for now we got a great show ahead of us. Today, I'm riding solo because, as I mentioned, everyone that I know is going to be watching the Mets game right now. And if you see me looking down my phone during the pod, it's going to be because I'm checking the game. But I'm imagining I'll be just getting updates throughout then. So yeah, for today, last week it was last week that we went over Yahoo Sports best Robins or best number 2s in the league. So then last Sunday, it was either Saturday or Sunday, I believe they came out with their best third players, so the third options on their teams. So they did their top 30, and I came up with my top 30, and it's quite different. So I'm very interested to see what you guys think of it. So then right after that, I will be diving into DraftKings over-under odds and comparing that list to mine. And I have a lot of spreadsheets for you guys to see. So very, very excited for the episode today. It's going to be a great one. I'm going to try to go through it pretty quickly so I can get back to watching the Mets. But for now, this is the All American Hoops podcast. Welcome to the show. As per usual, I'm your host, Chris Driscoll, and we got an awesome episode ahead of us. So, as I mentioned, big Mets game going on right now. Don't think there are any big updates as of now. There are not. I'll probably be looking at my phone a couple of times throughout the night to check. But for now, just talking hoops right now. But more specifically, the first thing that I wanted to talk about was the list that came out on, I can't remember if it was Saturday night or Sunday morning. Pretty sure it was Sunday morning from Yahoo Sports. It was their over-unders, or not over-unders. I'm doing over-unders later. It was their list of each team's third best player, ranking all those guys. So curious to see what they thought. Or not curious to see, like I know what they thought, and I'm just double checking those. But I took a screenshot of oh, here it is. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you the first 1 through 15 right now. And I'm not gonna dive too deep into them. I'm just waiting for it to upload now. But so I know that in the article it said like ideally a team has a star, a co-star, and like a third player who could just fill players really, really well. And I agree that's what it should be. I think usually the player that would be like the best player, like he would also be the best floor raiser as number one. It would also be the best number three, but that's not always the case. So, like for example, I always use the example of Trae Young, just because I think that Trae Young is one of the best floor raisers in the league. Has never really had the best supporting cast, but is usually bringing his team to at the very least to play in tournaments. Bringing some pretty bad teams to like where they need to be to win. However, I also don't believe that he could be, or not could be. He could. You need to be like put in like the perfect situation to be the second best player on like a championship team, which is what I care about at the end of the day. I care about how you contribute to a championship team, not so much you turning a bad team into good, and more so turning a good team into great. That's what I care about the most, and that's what I feel like these lists care about the most as well. So, without further ado, here is the list of 1 through 30. So, so you have sports top 30 number 3 options in the NBA. I'm gonna go through these relatively quickly. But number 1, Paul George. Paul George is a very, very interesting player. Obviously, he was the number 1 for the most of the beginning of his career in Indiana. Then he moved to then he moved to OKC, where he became the second option. But however, even though he was the second option for his second year, he was the best player. 2019, he came in 3rd place for MVP voting. So he did become eventually the best player. But however, he did know how to be the second best player. So so that makes sense there. I also think that he's very clearly the best number 3 option. I'll talk about that later when I give my list. But yeah, they definitely got this one right in my opinion. So no problem with Paul George being number 1. Rudy Gobert is number 2. Again, I don't really have much problem with Rudy Gobert number 2. I for one think that Gobert is the second best player on the Timberwolves now. I had him as the second best player last week too, with Karl-Anthony Towns. I think that one's debatable. I'm not sure whether they made this list. I know they made the number 2's list before the Cat trade. And I, for one, think that Rudy Gobert is definitely the second best player on the Timberwolves now. I definitely think he's a more impactful player than Julius Randle. If you're building a team to win a championship, I do agree that Julius Randle would be the better number 1 option. But that being said, if I'm building a team to win a championship, I definitely want Rudy Gobert because like people say that Gobert is exposed in the playoffs all the time. That's even worse with Julius Randle. So. Both of them have their weaknesses. I don't know if either of them could be a number 2 on a championship team. Actually, Gobert could, I think. But I don't know. It's just it's just a matter of preference at that point. But yeah, I would take Rudy Gobert as the number 2. But I do know and the Karl-Anthony Towns thing is interesting. I did take Gobert last week. I've always been on the fence, but like I do lean Gobert because he has like all time something to offer. Like Cat's one of the best 3-point shooting bigs all time, but that doesn't really. I don't think that contributes to wins as much as Gobert's defense. That's my take there. They have Porzingis at 3. As much as I love Porzingis more than the next guy, I don't think he's the 3rd most important player on the Celtics now, especially for this upcoming year, because he's going to be out for the first 20-something games. So I'd rather have Jrue Holiday or Derek White there. I'll show you who I went with when I released my list. They had Chet Holmgren number 3. Again, I don't have a problem with that. I do think that he's a little better than J-Dub. They had J-Dub at number 2. And Tyler Calzerata, he was a guest on the show. We were talking about it yesterday. He does believe that J-Dub was the second best player, so that they didn't get it wrong. But I also think that Chet is slightly more important to them. But excuse me. Same thing with Desmond Bane. I agree with them on Desmond Bane. I know that some people would have rather had Desmond Bane as the number 2 than Jaren Jackson Jr. But again, situation where I think that Jaren Jackson Jr. is significantly more important. Evan Mobley, no problem with. I think the Cavs 2 through 4, you can honestly go. I think all 3 of them are interchangeable. Like I think that Jared Allen is the 4th best, will be the 4th best player in the Cavs this year, but I do think that he was the 2nd best player this past year. So, which is controversial, but I don't think it should be. I think that Jared Allen was the 2nd best player in the Cavs last year, especially when you're factoring in impact. He wasn't available for the playoffs last year, but I do think that Jared Allen was the 2nd best player. Then we got We got DeMar DeRozan. Oh yeah, but before I move on to DeRozan, actually, I did have Mobley as my number 2 because I'm expecting him to grow a little bit more. They had Darius Garland as number 2, which again, zero issue, but I do have Darius Garland as my number 3. DeMar DeRozan at 7. This will be a very, very interesting one because it'll be the smallest role that he's in his entire career. He was the first option. He was the first scoring option, at least in Toronto. Whether he was the best player or not with Lowry is more up in the air. Then he moves to Chicago. He was hands down the best player in his first season. No, San Antonio. Actually, forgot about that. He was in a weird position there. He definitely improved his playmaking alongside LaMarcus Aldridge. In addition to that, after that, he moved to Chicago. He was definitely the best player in 2022. And he remained a pretty solid player for 2023 and 2024. But obviously, which is never on really a contender team, which the Kings aren't really contenders now either. But he's definitely not as good as De'Aaron Fox or Domantas Sabonis. So I'm just very, very interested to see how things go there. After that, Mikal Bridges, third option, zero issue there. And again, I don't think that's changed since the Karl-Anthony Towns trade. That really wouldn't have changed because obviously it was just a Randall for cat swap. Obviously, Dante DiVincenzo was involved in that trade too, but no one thinks that he's better than Mikal Bridges. So you want to argue OG Anunoby? I know that some people, I know that after the trade, after they traded for Mikal, some people said like, "Oh, I'd rather have OG," not knowing that he was probably going to resign there. I think that Bridges is better. He's definitely better offensively, and I think defensively, OG's the better on-ball player. He's better on ball, and he's also one of the best one-on-one defenders in the league. But as far as it goes for anchoring a defense, I definitely trust Bridges over OG. Speaking of anchoring a defense, they had Draymond Green at number 9. I think that Draymond is 100% better than Andrew Wiggins. He's 100% more important than Andrew Wiggins. I think I had Draymond at like 8. I Draymond at 18 for the second best players. I think he's a little underrated now. You want to say that he had a pretty bad season last year. He was still pretty solid on the courts. He was still impacting the game seriously for the Warriors on defense, but obviously just all the intangibles, him refusing to stay out of trouble on the courts. It's funny, like you talk about all the court issues. Draymond's issues are on the court, but not for his quality of play. It's for his self-control. But yeah, I definitely trust Draymond. I think that's I don't think that he's as good as any of the guys ahead of him, but and I don't even think that he's better than Miles Turner. Yeah, that one's debatable. But yeah, Miles Turner is another interesting one. Just another guy that can defend the rim and shoot the ball pretty well. He's been on the trade block forever, but it's just never happened to him. But I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Probably not. But might just walk in free agency. But we'll see. Chris Middleton, number 11. Middleton's underrated. He has a struggle with staying on the court, which I don't know how many games he played last year. Let me check real quick. However, Chris Middleton the past 2 seasons has been awesome in the playoffs, even though it was only one round for each of them. He rose to the occasion. Excuse me. Oh, it was only 55 games last year, so pretty bad. Not bad, but just a lot more hurt than I thought. So yeah, he rose to the occasion in 2023. He averaged 24 on elite efficiency. The Bucks really weren't playing well. Giannis obviously wasn't playing, and Drew was getting cooked by Jimmy Butler. So Middleton was the guy that kept it close. And then last year, again, Giannis was out the whole series, and then Dame was out for some of the series. Middleton played great. So I don't want to see, I don't even know where I had Middleton. I do know, I forgot where I made the list, but I forgot where I had him. It was definitely in the top 10, but yeah, I understand why people are a little bit lower than him. DeJounte Murray, at 12. Did I even have Murray as my third option? I don't even remember. Should be a little more prepared, but that's okay. After that, they had Fred VanVleet as the third option, which I'm confused about because, they had Şengün as the number 2 option. Do they really think that they really thought that Jalen Green was the first option? I think that's a little. I don't agree with that. I think that Jalen Green is the best is the third best player. I think that it's Şengün, then VanVleet, then Jalen Green. But Jalen Green had that few week stretch where he was awesome. He did struggle towards the end though. So I don't know. I just don't trust him a ton really. I think the Cavs are a little, not the Cavs, the Rockets are a little overrated. Let me put this banner down real quick. It's not the banner, is it? It is the banner. Okay, so they had Bradley Beal 14. I think that Beal's a little better than 14. Beal's tough just because I think they are doing this based on fits, because I do think that talent wise Beal is definitely top 10, but I do understand wanting to put him lower just because he doesn't really fit well next to KD and Booker, which that contract, man, it's 3 years and it's just a ton of money that they're throwing at him. I don't know. This trade wasn't a good idea for them, and they're paying the price for it now because now their starting five is Tyus Jones, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Yusuf Nurkic, because one of your two best defenders are Kevin Durant and LeBron James. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. So, just really, really tough on the defensive end, which is why I think they moved Beal down. Kobe White is not the third best player on the Bulls. I think he's at worst the second best player. You want to say Zach LaVine's better, which he is better than him, but he just isn't really fully committed clearly. So I definitely think that, it's definitely not. Kobe White's definitely the second best player. I think they had Vooch ahead of him for the second best. Yeah. I used to like Vooch a lot, but he really isn't that good defensively. So that's my issue with him there. So 1 through 15 wasn't bad, but I definitely disagreed with some things, as I mentioned there. Now let's see for number 16 through 30. This one's going to be a little bit quicker. Let's see what we got here. Still uploading, but yeah, I don't know. 12 people here. Any comments on 1 through 15 that I had? Would love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to share my 16 through 30 now, but for those of you that are watching, which 11 of you are watching now, yeah, definitely leave some comments because I love interacting with my followers. So, 16, they had Jalen Johnson. No problem with that. I'm pretty sure that I had him in my list too. I know that some people think he's second actually to Trey. I do think that Clint Capella is the second best player, and not. I'm pretty sure that they had Bogdanovich there. I don't agree with that. So I think Capella is definitely more important. 17, Brandon Miller. I had Brandon Miller as my second best player, not as the third best, not as the third option. Yeah, they had Miles Bridges, which I've explained that I don't like him for a lot of reasons. Not a lot of reasons, just the one reason that's pretty bad. But number 18, MPJ. MPJ is great, but I do think that Aaron Gordon is a little better. Not better, but definitely more important to the Nuggets. 19, Klay Thompson. I don't think that Klay Thompson is the third best player in the Mavs. I think that it's either PJ Washington or Derek Lively. I don't even know if Derek Lively's starting, though. It might be Gafford. But, yeah, I don't trust Klay Thompson at all anymore. I think he's a bad defensive player, and though a great shooter still, not someone that can necessarily create his own offense. So maybe he'll be a solid role player next to those two, but I don't really see it, especially given how bad their defense is already. Speaking of defense, I got Jalen Suggs at 20. They had Jalen Suggs at 20. I'm a big fan of Suggs. He's not really a great point guard, but he's one of the best. I'd say outside of Drew, D. White, Caruso, he might be the best, might be like the best guard defender in the league. He might be top 5. That's my opinion. Tyler Hero, 21. That's an interesting one. I don't remember where I had him exactly, but that's very interesting. Austin Reeves, 22. Vika Zubac, 23. Emmanuel Quickly, 24. Quickly was an interesting one just because I don't know if it's. I thought that he was better than RJ Barrett, but I know that some people disagree. Got a notification that wasn't for the Mets though. 25, Cam Johnson. 26, Malcolm Brogdon. 27, Jeremy Sohan. I think that CB3 is better than him. I think that Devin Vassell, they had Devin Vassell ahead of him, but I do think that CB3 is the second best player on the team now. John Collins, 28. I don't think I had John. Did I have John? I think that I had Walker Kessler ahead of John Collins. It definitely was him. Then Jaden Ivey, 29. Scoot Henderson, 30. Jaden Ivey, I had as the second best player ahead of Tobias Harris, and I don't even think I had Tobias. I think I had Jalen Duren as my other best player. But those are the 16 through 30. But yeah, I'm not going to really give too many comments there. I'm just going to start sharing my list for it in a little bit here. But no one's commented yet. But anyone have any comments about this list right here? Just because I know it's pretty tough to argue anything here, just because it's really not. I feel like once you get like so deep into the NBA, it's tough to debate some things, just because it's like oh yeah, like are we really gonna have like a 10-minute argument segment about who's better, Emmanuel Quickly or John Collins? No, who really cares? And not that who really cares, but it's also just like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. A lot of these are just very tough to determine, but. Yeah, so I'm going to go 10 at a time. So here I have him as my 21 through 30. So 30, I have Miles Bridges. Again, I can't stand him, but I also think that he's very overrated. I think the Hornets paying Miles Bridges that much money, not only was it not worth it on like a personal standpoint, because I do think that character matters somewhat. I understand that like if you're building a basketball team, you can't just do it based on if you're a good person or not. But I don't know, you're building an organization, you shouldn't be paying guys like that so much money. And even if he was like the greatest guy ever, giving money to charity, advocating for all these rights to get to people at risk or something, he's not that good of a basketball player. I don't think that Miles Bridges is someone you should be paying that much money to, even if he was a good person, which he's not. So I don't know. 29 out of Cam Johnson. I haven't really watched a ton of the Nets. I'd have to have Liam back on the show to say how he feels about him. But yeah, Cam Johnson's fine. Yeah, then who did I have? Yeah, like, and then I had Malcolm Brogdon at 28. Let me just try to compare these real quick. But it's funny. Yeah, I thought for a second I thought that Malcolm Brogdon was too low, but then I had him actually a little bit lower. So that's very interesting. Then yeah, Malcolm Brogdon is aging. Same thing with Vucevic. That's why they're going to be a little bit lower. Devin Vassell, 26. He was on the number 2 list, as I mentioned earlier, under Yahoo Sports, but I do think that CP3 is better than him, or will be better than him at least. Like, he's going to be the one leading the team, obviously. And he's in a better situation than he was with Golden State. Number 25, Scoot Henderson. I do think that Scoot's going to be better this year, even though it's pretty tough to be he's in a tough situation just because the Blazers are clearly tanking, which is tough. Obviously, they have a really awkward roster. They have both Rob Williams and DeAndre Ayton. Both of them are Rob's injury prone, and Ayton just isn't that good. So I don't really know. Yeah, that there's one thing that you have two centers. You have Jeremy Grant, who is probably the most talented player on the team, in my opinion, either him or Anthony Simons. And then in addition to him, you also have I feel like I'm missing a player. It's Scoots, Anthony Simons, Grant. And oh no, maybe not actually. Yeah, but like because going into the offseason when I was making my list, I thought that okay, the two best players in the Blazers are obviously Jeremy Grant and DeAndre Ayton, which may have been the case, but however, Simons is clearly more talented than Ayton, and also Scoot's up on the rise. And if Rob Williams was healthy, he'd be better than DeAndre Ayton for sure. So yeah, 24 at PJ Washington. I think that PJ Washington is a better basketball player than Klay Thompson as of now. He's a better defensive player. He's going to be the one to anchor the defense better. Not anchor, but he's definitely going to be taking on the tougher defensive tasks with a horrendous backcourt defense. When you have a bad backcourt defense, you got to have some solid defenders, which if they specified in their list, like you need a guy who's going to fill your role well. Klay Thompson's not going to be the guy to fill the role well. Like if the only way that he's like a good fit next to Luka is simply the fact that Luka is better on the ball and Klay's better off the ball, obviously. So it's like a driving kick. Maybe that's great, but I don't know. Like I feel like you can still be solid with that. Camera turned off real quick. That's okay. Let me just try to put it back on. But yeah, Klay Thompson. I think maybe Klay Thompson crashed my live there real quick, but I don't know. And yeah, I got upset with that. But yeah, I don't think I don't trust Klay Thompson at all. And I'm gonna talk about the Mavs in a little bit. But yeah, Jalen Duren at 23. What's going on with my camera? That's really weird. This is where I wish that someone was on with me so they can tell me what's going on. So yeah, Jalen Duren, I have a 23. I think that he was awesome beginning of last year. Kind of fell off a little bit toward the end of the year, but that's mainly because of the Pistons as a whole. I think that the Pistons are going to be better this year. New leader in the clubhouse, Tobias Harris, and also just the growth of Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey as well. So yeah, definitely think the Pistons will be much better. Andrew Wiggins at 22, which is funny because he was on the number 2's list, and then Draymond was number 9. I think that Wiggins is just so much worse. So much worse. I don't believe in him at all. I know he was an all-star starter in 2022 and was the second best player. Sorry, third. You can debate which one in 2022 in the championship team, but 2 full seasons have happened since then. He's just been underwhelming. So I don't really support it. Then they have Ivica Zubac, and then I have at 21. Where's Zubac? He must have been on he's 23. So yeah, I've been a little bit higher, but yeah, I don't have an issue if you want to put him a little bit higher, a little bit lower. Yeah, I'm a Zubac fan. He's been like one of the only consistent pieces for the Clippers for the past few years. And though the Clippers have been underwhelming, he's been pretty solid for them. So yeah, good for Ivica Zubac. But for now, that's 11 through 30. Now we'll go to 11. That's 21 through 30. Now we're going to go through 11 through 20. Here we go. Anything about the Mets to check in? Doesn't look like any big updates as of now. I will double check in a second, though. I know people that are watching the show now care more about basketball, but actually, maybe that's not the case. Maybe they're just tuning in the show while else leaving the background. But yeah, number 20, I have RJ Barrett. I'm flipping back and forth to like the 16 through 21. They had IQ of 24. Jeez, I don't like that at all. I think he's much better than that. Yeah, RJ at 20. I think RJ and IQ are back and forth. Yeah, that doesn't sit well with me. They only have IQ of 24. I strongly disagree with that. Then Tyler Hero at 19. Some people thought that RJ was much better than Hero. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that Hero is definitely the better player, especially on offense, which if you want to say the defense is more important for a third option, that's understandable. Speaking of defense, I have Walker Kessler at 18. He was a little underwhelming last year. He had an awesome rookie year. But I'm not 100% sure how he's going to be this year. That they had John Collins as the third option, but at the end of the day, I think John Collins is who he is at this point, and I really don't see him as like he's a solid NBA player, but I don't think he's a top 3 player on a series team. No, that's not true. Maybe if you have like a really, really solid 1 and 2 option, he could be the third option on a solid team, but not in a contender, in my opinion. Then Austin Reeves at 17. Keep on flipping back and forth, but Reeves was definitely not at 17. He was lower, right? He was 22. Yeah. So yeah, here I thought that Reeves was overrated. I guess not. If I think he's better at the third option than most of these guys. Jalen Johnson 16. The Hawks. They had with 16. Oh wow, look at that. So I had him at 16 too. So yeah, right on the nose. Yeah, good for Jalen Johnson. I feel like he was underwhelming the first couple of years, but he's going to have a bigger role now. And though I think the Hawks are going to be pretty bad this year, I do like Jalen Johnson. Jalen Suggs at 15. They have him a little bit lower at 20. Yeah, he's not really good on offense, but yeah, I think he's a shutdown defensive player. So yeah, that's why I'm a little bit higher. Miles Turner 14. Maybe a little overrated from the initial list, but I'm still a fan of him. Jalen Green 13. Which I'm confused because I don't have the 1 through 15 on my panel anymore. But okay, so I don't really know about that. But yeah, I would have Jalen Green out there. But yeah, they had Van Vliet's higher in the list. So Aaron Gordon 12. They did have MPJ there. Was he in the top? He was 18. Yeah, I think that's I think that Aaron Gordon's more important. So yeah, like they said it was based on importance, but I don't think that's the case at all. So 11, DeJounte Murray. They did have Murray in like the top 10-ish, I think. It was clearly in the top half. I don't know if it was top 10. But yeah, this is my 11 through 20 number threes. If anyone in the comments in the live wants to let me know what they think, that would be awesome. Yeah, we're getting to the point of the list where like a lot of these guys could be number 2s on a series title team if they had like the best, if they had like an awesome number 1. Like Aaron Gordon was the number 3 on a championship team, number 3 or 4. Yeah, if MPJ was there instead of Gordon, he would be just like right around the same place as Gordon. So, but yeah, I think I'm going to show my 1 through 10 now, and most of these guys could be number 2s on a championship team. That's not true actually. Maybe the first couple of guys couldn't be, but yeah, Bradley Beal number 10. On the decline and just in a bad situation. Part of that's his fault because he's bad at defense as well. But yeah, I don't think he could be the number 2 on a championship team unless he had an awesome number 1 and an awesome 3 through 5 as well. But I don't really know. You could have an awesome 3 through 5 when you're not that good in the first place. But yeah, number 9, Darius Garland. They had him at another number 2s. I think that Garland's good. I think that Garland's going to be better this year, and I think that Mobley's going to be better this year. So I think the Cavs could be a scary team, but every team is so good. So I don't know. We got one comment. Let's see. Chet over Jalen. That was yeah. So I mentioned that earlier actually. I did have Chet over Jade. Okay, you know what? Actually, I'll go back to that in a second. Yeah, because I did have J-Dub a little bit lower. Yeah, so Chris Middleton 8. I mentioned Middleton earlier. I think that he's very underrated. He's been injury prone and everything, but he's been awesome in the playoffs the past 2 years. Desmond Bane at 7. He's an awesome scorer and everything, but yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. is the more important player, and the Grizzlies I'm extremely high on, and I'm going to show you how high I am them later. J-Dub at number 6. So it's funny because I really thought that Chet was considered to be much better than J-Dub, but I don't have an issue either way. I do think that Chet was more important to the Thunder. The Thunder had one of the best defenses in the league because of Chet. He was more important there. Yeah, but I do know that J-Dub was probably a little better 2-way player, so maybe want to give the edge to J-Dub there. I have zero issue with that. Actually might move J-Dub up a spot or 2 ahead of Mikal Bridges or Derek White. Mikal Bridges is an awesome defensive player. He kind of slowed down on defense last year because he had to pick up so much offense. So it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts to his new role as the clear number 3. Then number 4, I have Derek White. So this one was interesting to me because, as I mentioned, I would not have Porzingis on this list just because he's going to miss the first 20-something games and he's not going to contribute the third most to the Celtics. And then I had Derek White ahead of Drew just simply because Drew's getting older and Derek White is entering his prime kind of. So, yeah. So if you want to put Drew there, that's really fine. But I do think that Derek White's going to be a little better this year. And then a third, like 1, 2, 3. I think that as long as you have these players, but as long as you have one of these 3 players, that's fine. Or like 3 players from these teams, as say DeMar DeRozan, Julius Randle, or Rudy Gobert and Paul George. So Julius number 3 is on. Julius is the third player on the Timberwolves. I think that's both Ants and Rudy Gobert are more important to the Wolves than Julius Randle. I brought it up at the beginning of the podcast. If you're building a team to be a championship team as the number 1, Julius Randle is your guy ahead of Gobert, but issue is I don't think either of them could be the number 1 on a championship team. So I care more about how you could contribute to a championship team, which Rudy Gobert could contribute more to a championship team than Julius Randle, in my opinion, based on his skills. So that is my 1 through 10. I'm going to show my 1 through 30 in a second here. But yeah, so Paul George, Julius Randle, DeMar DeRozan, Derek White. Do I have my 1 through 30 up? I should in 1 second. Here it is. Okay. No, I was not talking about the Knicks. It would have been either Bridges or OG. So yeah, Bridges as clearly as my number 5. And yes, I did remake the list. I don't know what Yahoo Sports would have done. I do know that I got into a huge argument with a bunch of guys at my house the other night. We had a nice party for our fantasy league. All of them thought Julius Randle was better than Rudy Gobert. I disagree, and we got into a big argument yesterday because all of them think that, not all of them, a good amount of them thought that Julius Randle was also better than Damian Lillard, which I don't know what Julius Randle has done in the past couple of months to prove that he's better than Dame, but I digress. So this is my 1 through 30. I think that Paul George is the best number 3 in the league, and I think that Miles Bridges is the worst number 3 in the league. So I'm going to post this list. Let me know what's your reaction, Trip. Is there you're the only one commenting, and I'd love to interact with people watching. So let me know what you think. But this is my list, and I would say, like, I thought long and hard about 1 through 10, but I really didn't think long and hard about 11 through 30. But yeah, I'm fine with a lot of these like being interchangeable. If I put them in tiers, I'd have like a tier after 3, and then like from Paul George to DeRozan. Then my second tier would probably be D White to, I guess, either Beal or Garland. I guess until Middleton probably, and then my third tier would be Garland to probably Jalen Green. Then Miles Turner probably down to Zubac, and then Andrew Wiggins to Bridges probably. Actually, that's not true. Like probably another tier from 22 to 30. But that's my list as of now. J-Dub is too low to me, but that's all this. Appreciate that. As I mentioned, I could see J-Dub being as high as 4. So I have zero issue if you say that J-Dub's low because he's obviously young and he's going to get better. So no problem whatsoever if you think he should be a little bit higher. Okay, cool. So for those of you who have followed me for a while, you also know that I'm a big predictions guy. I love making predictions. More specifically, you know how I make my predictions at the beginning of the year with how many with each award and who's going to win this award, who's going to make first team All-NBA, who's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. So, but I also have a big thing on predicting each team's win total. I'm going to show you mine from last year. So you can't see it all because it's very blurry and everything. I wish I can zoom in on it. But from like so all the way to the left, this is separated based on so the OU is over under. So each team's over under. Actually, I'm not going to go through every single thing just because it'd be too much, but yeah, this is all that I think about it. So everything to like the left half was things that I predicted, and everything on the right half was stuff that was like the results of it. Or everything. Oh, sorry, everything on the left side would be like the preseason. Everything on the right side would be everything that followed up to it afterwards. So I'm also going to show you one more thing from last year. It was actually what I was right and what I was wrong about, and this is very colorful, so it might be a little too bright for you guys, but I don't know. Might be too bright for me, so maybe I'm going to have to stop sharing my screen a little bit. I'm not my screen. I'm sharing files, but okay, yeah, it's not too bright. But so the purple ones up top were the ones that I was most wrong about, whether it be positive or negative. So I thought the Pistons were going to be much better. I thought they were going to have 34 wins last year, but they only had 14. Same with the Thunder. I thought they were going to have, how many wins is that? Is that 39? I think 57 wins. So yeah, a lot of difference there. The Wolves, the Spurs, the Rockets, the Grizzlies, the Raptors, and the Wizards. A couple of those were injury related. Raptors traded their best player halfway through the year. Then the green was who I was most right about. So the Clippers had the exact same record. The Nets, the Heat, the Cavs, the Jazz, the Suns, the Warriors, the Bulls, the Magic, and the Nuggets were all within 3 wins of win totals of what I predicted. So, and then the top one 7 through 10. Or sorry, I think it was purple was 10 or more, red 7 through 10, and yellow was, I believe, 4 through 6. So, yeah, I do that every year. I'm gonna show you mine again at the end of the season, but yeah, so that's what I had. Notification, is that anything bigger on the Mets? No, it's not. So 30. Okay, so I'm not really missing a ton, but as of now. But I'm gonna check real quick. It's the bottom of the second. There's a runner on second, so unfortunately the Brewers might score here, but hopefully Jose Quintana pulls out of this. But let me pull up what the predictions. So this is according to DraftKings, and just so I want to make it clear to everyone regarding DraftKings. So DraftKings sets their over/under totals every year, and what should happen is if you add up every team's wins, that should come out to 1230. So assume every team goes 41 and 41. So 41 times 30 is 1230. So the total should add up to 1230, but for DraftKings they added theirs up to 1251. So my list is going to have either more over unders than most would, or it's going to have too many, or it's going to have like more over unders. So first I'm going to show you the Western Conference over unders actually. So as you can see here, this is in order based on DraftKings odds. So they had the Thunder number 1, the Wolves at number 2, the Nuggets at number 3, the Mavs at number 4, the Grizzlies at number 5, the Suns at 6, the Pelicans at 7, the Kings at 8, the Warriors at 9, the Lakers at 10, the Rockets at 11, the Clippers at 12, the Suns at 13, the Jazz at 14, and the Blazers at 15. So I don't really have too many issues with any of these. I think the Suns might be a little high. I think the Rockets win total might be a little high. So Clippers might be a little low. I don't know. I did make a predictions list which I'm going to show you guys, but you think the Suns are too high? I kind of agree with that. The Suns are too small. I think that they had 48 wins last year, and I just don't think they're going to be better. It wasn't a matter of them not figuring things out because they kind of did figure things out, but towards the end of the season, excuse me, more so towards the middle of the season, but they just weren't that good. It's not a matter of them figuring out because they have 2 of the best players in the league. I'm like 2 of the 12 or maybe like 12 or 15 best players in the league. But they just don't have the roster construction to be better. And I just don't really think that they're that good. So yeah, I definitely agree that the Suns might be a little too high. I think the biggest takeaway here is the Clippers, actually. The Clippers are the hardest team to rank just because obviously when you have Kawhi Leonard healthy, which healthy Kawhi Leonard in the regular season is not an unrealistic thing because in the healthy Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs, on the other hand, is unrealistic because it's been 4 years now that we've seen the Clippers finish their season without Kawhi Leonard. So but healthy Kawhi Leonard has been awesome. He was awesome in the playoffs. He was awesome. He missed like the first 20 something games last year. Not last year, 2 years ago, like in 2023, and he was awesome after that. And then in 2024, he played an MVP level for like a couple months. Too big of a concern for you. However, he did get surgery over the offseason, so maybe it might be. So uh, at the same time, I could see them. I think that's the lowest you can have them, honestly. What is that, the 12th seed? So I can see them being as high as the 5 seed, though. I know that Jason Sims said 4 or 5, so 4 might be pushing it, but I think they could range from anywhere to 5 to 12. I don't know if there's any other team in the West you could say that big of a range. Maybe the Lakers, actually, you could say that they get a pretty low range, given the 2-star players haven't really been injury prone the past 2 seasons, but they do have a history, like recently before that. So LeBron aging, AD getting older, maybe. I don't know. Nothing else to take away from that, but I'm going to show you the Eastern Conference now. The East is going to be very, very interesting this year because the East did get better as a whole. I don't know how much better they will get, though. We got this here. Yeah, this is it, right? Cool. So, yeah, like obviously the Celtics are it's taking a little bit to upload. Yeah, the Celtics are going to be the best team in my opinion, and DraftKings seems to agree, with the Knicks second, the Sixers third, the Bucks fourth, the Cavs fifth, the Magic sixth, the Pacers seventh, the Heat eighth, the Hawks big dip in a Hawks 9, the Hornets 10, the Raptors 11, the Bulls 12, the Pistons 13, the Wizards 14, and the Nets 15. So not too many problems there. I really think, yeah, like, and DraftKings agrees with me. I think that 1 through 8 is pretty set in stone, honestly. You can maybe see like a big jump from Scotty Barnes, and maybe the Raptors could be better. Maybe jump from Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey, they could be a lot better. You think the Bucks are gonna be something serious? I agree. I definitely think that the Bucks have become underrated the past few months. You could argue, like, I think before the Knicks traded for Cat, I think they were the second best player in the second best team in the East. I think the Dame is going to be much better this year. I think if Giannis is healthy, the Bucks will be back to being one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the East. But yeah, Dame's going to be the X factor, and then Doc Rivers is also going to be an X factor. So I'm interested to see what happens there. And it just feels weird, just because I know a lot of people think that it's clearly Celtics, Knicks, Sixers, Bucks. I feel like there is at least one other team that usually makes it. It's usually, I feel like it's usually like the top 4 teams, but usually there's one of those teams that loses in the first round. I don't, knock wood, I don't think the Celtics lose in the first round. They haven't done it. Like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum together haven't lost a first round series. And I don't see them doing it ever, but as long as they're healthy. The Knicks, I don't think they'll lose in the first round series either. We saw them lose in the second round last year. It would probably take a big injury or a playoff stinker from Brunson, which I don't think is going to happen. It's not out of the realm, but I don't think it's going to happen. The Sixers is going to take an Embiid injury, so like that might be the pick. But however, you shouldn't do your picks based on solely injuries, because those are tough to predict. And the Bucks fourth, maybe you want to be, yeah. But I would say either the Bucks or the Sixers probably won't make the. If I'm making my predictions, I'm going to predict both of them to make it to the second round, just because that's usually like one of those 2 teams are going to make the conference finals. I'll be shocked, but if I would also be surprised if both of them made it. So, which sounds weird in the way that I'm wording it, but I think if I put it this way, I would be shocked if one of those 2 teams did not make the conference finals. I would be surprised though if both of them made it. Does that, I hope that I'm making sense when I say I would be shocked if one of the Sixers or the Bucks doesn't make the conference finals, but I would be surprised if if both the Sixers and the Bucks made it. So I just came with that on the spot, by the way. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to cut that and make that an interesting thing, but we'll see. Because there is a world where the Cavs, the Magic, the Pacers, they're all young teams. They can be better than the Bucks or the Sixers, especially in the playoffs. So. Yeah, I'm a big fan of all 3 of those teams. I'm a big fan of Donovan Mitchell is my favorite non-Celtic in the league. I love Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Darius Garland, I think, is very disrespected. The Magic, I was high in the Magic all year last year. Preseason, I had them making the playoffs when most people didn't. I think Paolo has the sky's the ceiling, sky's the limit for him. So, yeah, that'd be interesting though. The Pacers gave a harder time in the playoffs than they gave a harder time to the Celtics than anyone in the playoffs last year. I know they were the only team that got swept, but all the games were close. So sorry, 3 out of the 4 games were close. I'm sharing a lot of your comments, Trip. I don't see a world where the Sixers are in the finals. I wish though. Yeah, yeah, I hope the Sixers don't make the finals. I'm a Celtics fan, so yeah, it'd be tough for the Sixers to make the finals. It's going to take, because not only have we seen Embiid not make the finals, we haven't even seen him make the conference finals. So Yeah, Embiid's great, but we probably need to see him be a little more healthy. Which maybe he seems to have a pretty good attitude this year of like not caring about all NBAs and rings and everything, or not rings, not all NBAs and accolades, but yeah, he cares more about winning. So that's a good attitude to have because usually he's complaining about like awards. So good for him there. But yeah, so yeah, I think the six. I'd be shocked if the Celtics and the Knicks didn't make the second rounds. I would be shocked if one of the Bucks and the Sixers didn't make it, but very, very surprised if it was those four teams. So yeah, I think one of the Bucks, Cavs, Magic, or Pacers is in the second round, and hell, maybe even the Miami Heat, because I think I saw a thing. It said not a thing. I was also looking at other Sixers, other draft odds, not draft odds, other odds. I'm pretty sure besides the Celtics, the Knicks, the Sixers, and the Bucks, I think the Heat were above the Cavs, Magic, and Pacers as far as it goes for who can come out of the East, which I don't really disagree with because I do think that the Bucks, the Heat are a worse team than they were in 2023 and 2024. Hold on one second. Get the alert for my Mac being close to out of battery, but that's okay. It's top third right now for the Mets, by the way. Did I? We're just gonna roll the dice actually. Yeah, like the Celtics, the Knicks, the Sixers, and the Bucks both all have better odds to make the finals than the Heat, but the Heat are projected to have lower wins than the Pacers, the Magic, and the Heat. But the Pacers, the Magic, and the Cavs, but they do have a better shot at making the finals. Which, again, this is something that I don't disagree with at all because we've seen the Heat overachieve in the playoffs before, and we've seen Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra rise to the occasion. So, while I hope that doesn't happen, I think the Heat are my least favorite team outside of the Lakers in the league. There is a world where Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra rise to the occasion in the playoffs. So that's what I have. So that's the over and under for East. Now I'm going to go through my predictions actually, and I wish that I went through my differences just because those are usually a lot of fun to do. But even then, we don't really have a lot of time anyway. But I'm just going to show my what do you call it? I'm going to show my predictions. So over under predictions West. There we go. Okay, so predictions that's uploading right now. Am I able to add to the stage now? I am. Perfect. Okay, so to the right, I do have it looks like the Mets aren't doing well. It looks like they're not scoring top of the third. So to the left side of the team, to the right I have the amount of wins they're going to have, and to the right I have the how many game what the difference of my team and or not my team of how many they're going to win, and then how many the prediction. So I have the Thunders at 57 wins. That's 0.5 wins more than their over under. So they're over under 56.5. So I have the under. Then I have the Grizzlies as the second seed. I think they're going to win 5.5 more games than the DraftKings thinks. I'm big on the Grizzlies this year. I think they're the second best team in the West. I think the John Morant versus SGA would be an extremely fun Western Conference Finals. I think that'd be a ton of fun. Third seed, I do have the Denver Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are underrated. I know that people are saying, "Oh, KCP's gone and everything." They're a great team because of Nikola Jokic, and I know that you need to have a great supporting cast outside of that. But I do think that the Nuggets aren't going to be a much worse team than they were last year. Yeah. Finally, people believe in the Thunder. I think most people believe in the Thunder. Actually, I'm sure you're not talking about me. I'm sure you're talking about that as a whole because most people do believe in the Thunder now. Now they have a better team. I do have the Pelicans at 48 wins, which. I think they're going to be the 4th seed, which I want to explain just because I'm kind of regretting some of these now because they are a little low, because they are a little low in wins. But I feel like part of that is because of the whole over under thing. Because like a lot of these teams do have to be under for that matter. But so yeah, I do think the Wolves are going to be a little worse than they were last year. I think the Cat's a much better player than Julius Randle. They got better bench-wise, but I don't know. I think the Mavs are going to be much worse as far as it goes for the playoffs. Maybe the regular season might be a little better, but in the playoffs, I don't trust them at all. I think they're going to be gone by the first round. What do I have the Magic? The Magic at 6th seed, yeah. So then I have the Lakers at the 7th seed, only a game and a half worse. I think I had them higher at first, but it's just really tough to manage to balance out these wins, especially when Vegas gave them more wins than what they can have. So meaning the entire league, not the Lakers. So are the Suns at the 8th seed? Was that 8 or 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so the Suns at 8, 41 wins, so 6.5 games worse. The Kings at 41, again, 5.5 worse. So those are tough to. Yeah, those are some of the biggest ones. But yeah, this isn't set in stone, by the way. I'm going to have to make some changes. These are probably going to give some of these guys more wins, and then maybe take away some of the East. Clippers at 40. So I have a half a game more, but I think the Clippers are going to be a little better than what they're over under things. But again, this is just tough to look at objectively, knowing that Vegas gave all these teams too many wins, because there's not going to be 1251 wins or something like that. It's going to be 12. It's going to be 1230 something. So I think it's only 1230. The Warriors at 39 wins, 5.5 games worse. Yeah, I don't believe them at all. I didn't believe them last year with Klay Thompson, and I'm not a big fan of Klay Thompson at all. But I don't believe in the Warriors at all. I do believe in Draymond Green and Steph Curry, but outside of them, I don't. No one else. Spurs 38 wins. I think they're gonna be better than people say they are. I know some people think they're gonna kind of wrap Wemby and bubble wrap and not play him at all. I don't think that's the case at all. I think they're gonna play him a lot of games, and they're gonna win more games than people think. Rockets 37 wins. I have them losing a lot more games than the people say. Ime Udoka is a great coach. They have a great young team, but I think growth isn't always linear. So yeah, I don't think they're gonna be that good this year. And big drop off, which again, I'm going to take a look at these, but yeah, I do think that these two are clearly the worst two teams, the Blazers and the Jazz. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. So these were two worst teams in the West, hands down, the Blazers and the Jazz. The Jazz 6.5 games worse, which I was surprised to see they were projected that many wins, maybe because they do believe in Larry Markkinen, which I believe in too, but I don't believe in the rest of their roster. But if they do win that few games, I don't think they should fire Will Hardy, but there's going to be a lot of discussions to be had. But I just overall think they just need to do a better job constructing the roster. Shout out Danny Ainge, but Jazz just really haven't been able to do a lot as a result of the Gobert and Mitchell trades. So, Tripp, anything else you want to say about any of this right here? I'm going to give anyone else a few seconds to say what they want to say about my Western Conference predictions unofficially. But however, I will give my official one. Definitely in the later weeks before opening night on October 22nd. We got here. Yeah, we got the East right here. So you can only share to 10 desks at once to share. Oh, I had to remove a couple now. You think the Lakers too high? Ooh, interesting. I thought I was putting them too low actually at first. So I just have to upload my Eastern Conference in a second now, but you're not going to be too surprised at my Eastern ones, honestly, just because there's not really much to be surprised about. But the East is a lot more talented than it used to be. So I'm very, very excited to see how things go with them. It doesn't look like it's sharing now, but I'm going to try one more thing right here. I'm going to remove this guy. We got 7 more minutes, so we got plenty of time to share my Eastern Conference predictions. So, yeah, I'll start going over it real quick, just because I'm having a tough time getting it on camera. But yeah, I do have the Celtics 1. I know that I was talking to a few friends today. They think the Celtics, I think they're over. They should be a little bit higher, which I'm marking them like a half a win higher. But I don't think it's gonna be that big of a difference, because Porzingis is out the first couple months, and as much as I believe in the Celtics without Porzingis, I don't think they're going to be. I don't think to me as easy this year for them to play so great without Porzingis. So that's going to be something they have to overcome, in my opinion. Same thing with both Al Horford and Drew Holiday getting older. So that's my only issue with them. That's my. I don't have any issues with the Celtics. I think they're whatever problems they have this year, I don't think it's going to be things in their control, because we know they could play great basketball together. They just had one of the best seasons of all time. But so yeah, no problems with the Celtics there. I did have the Knicks number 2. like I did say at first there was a better chance the Knicks would lose in the first round than making the conference finals. I don't think that's the case anymore now with the Cat trade. I don't think it can be stressed how much of an upgrade Cat is to Julius Randle. I know that some people disagree with that, but I think Cat's a much better player than Randle. So yeah, maybe slightly worse than what people think, but still much better than I initially thought. The Bucks are going to be better. The Sixers are going to be a little worse than what the Vegas odds say, but one of the Bucks or the Sixers will make the second rounds, but that'll be interesting to see. Then the Magic, the Cavs, and the Pacers. Again, I feel like these over-unders, like I'm really disliking just because I feel like they're doing a disservice to what people are actually looking at, because no one actually thinks the Pacers are going to win that many games. And I do think that the Pacers are going to be a little better than people say. Again, not really many changes here. Obviously, the biggest swing was the Hornets and the Raptors, probably. I think the Hornets are going to be a great team this year. Not great. 37 is great, but I think they're going to be better than people say they are. Charles Lee is the brand new head coach. I believe in him a ton. If LaMelo stays healthy, they're going to be great. Same thing with Brandon Miller. I think those two are an awesome duo. I know that people say Miles Bridges. I think that Brandon Miller is clearly the second best player on the team, as I mentioned earlier. After that, I think the Pistons are going to be much better than people say. I'm going to have to change up some of these because the West is always better than the East, but like I feel like I made them pretty equal. Maybe that was a mistake, but those are my over under predictions. I don't think I have anything else that I want to share really. I'm going to double check because I did save a lot of pictures. So, but I think I may have shared all of them just because, I mentioned to Matt earlier today that this was a spreadsheet episode because I was sharing a lot with what I was talking about. I don't really think there's anything else that I want to share though, besides everything that I've talked about. But it's gonna be an interesting season for sure. I'm gonna have to really take a look at these DraftKings odds because they're I feel like it's kind of unethical they do that because they know a lot of people bet on the over of things. So doing all that, but if you want to earn some money, I would bet the under on a lot of these teams just because mathematically, they're a lot of these teams are gonna win less than what they say just because of how many games that they gave these teams. So I don't know why I feel so strongly about it, but I just feel like it's kind of unethical. But anyway, this we got an awesome show. Doesn't really look like any updates for the Mets. It's currently the bottom of the third with 2 outs, so 0-0 still. So I really didn't miss a ton. Trip. I'm gonna read over this. I'm sharing the comment right now to the crowd. Great show. Enjoyed hearing your predictions. Can't wait to come back and see how right and wrong you were. Trip, I really appreciate that. I always I don't unless I'm reading something I'm not familiar with, but I know I haven't really met some of the people watching this, but I always love hearing people say what they have to say. So I really appreciate that. Once I turn the camera off, once I end the stream, it's going to be I'm gonna run downstairs and watch the Mets with my dad and brother. So very, very, very happy with the way things are going now. But this has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. Give a follow to @SportsFluence to catch every episode Thursdays at 8:00. We went a little bit early today because Chilton wanted to do 8:00, which he's coming right now. So right after I log off. But I'm gonna steal his quote like I usually do at the end. Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive, and call your mother. When's the last time you called your mother? So give a call to your mother and have a great night, everyone.